Well, hello, I'm Joanna Clark with Blissful Baby Sleep Coaching. And you see, I'm wearing my red jacket, which means that it is time to partner, promote, and support female-owned businesses. And today I am introducing and talking with Chantal Donnelly, who is the author of this incredible book titled Settled: How to Find Calm in a Stress-Inducing World. So thank you, Chantal, for being here and sharing your wisdom. So tell me, what is this book?
Thank you for having me, first of all. My book is about a new approach for people to manage stress so that their stress doesn't manage them. And what I was finding as a physical therapist is that my patients were getting better on my table. Their chronic pain was getting better, but stress in their life was bringing pain and inflammation back. And I was finding in my own life that I was really stressed too, and that all of the things that we as a society talk about as far as what you can do to manage stress were not working for me.
Mhm.
And so I started doing a deep dive into the stress science and started finding that really the answer is in the body. And as a physical therapist, I was really excited about that. And it led to me writing the book.
Amazing. And I should say that one of the reasons why I wanted to partner, promote, and support Chantal's work in the month of March, which is our WO3 month, is because her work is going to make a huge impact on mothers. And obviously, what I do as a gentle sleep coach is support mothers and families all day. And mothers, whether you are a stay-at-home mom or you are a working mom, or you're not a mom at all, but you're just a working professional, women are very overwhelmed, often sleep deprived, and feeling basically the word stress is part of their everyday language. And this world is a stressful place. And I feel that women need better tools and better understanding of the type of stress that is really prevalent to us. So tell me a little bit more about how stress is showing up and what's in your book.
Just like you just said, it's showing up as overwhelm. Everyone is just really feeling spent. And the more they try to participate in stress reducing tools, the more spent they feel because they're constantly adding that to their to-do list and they're not getting to it and they're feeling shame about that. And mothers, women and mothers in particular, whether these are working mothers, of course, all mothers are working,
Yes.
but whether they're working in someplace outside of the house or working in the house with their kids, are really getting the brunt of that. And the reason for that is that we as a society have been taught to disassociate, to
Mhm.
disembody. And this is something that culture teaches to everybody, but in particular to women. And the reason that we are taught that is because as women, we are supposed to be keeping the household together. We're supposed to be keeping the peace. And so if we don't pay attention to our sensations in our bodies and our gut instinct, and are we thirsty? Are we hungry? Are we sleepy? If we ignore all of that, if we ignore that spine tingle when somebody says something mean to us or disparaging to us, right? We've been taught, we don't have to, but we have been taught
Mhm.
to suppress that and essentially to ignore what is going on in our body.
Mhm.
And that's one of the reasons why I wanted to write the book, because the number one thing you need to do to manage stress is to reconnect with your body.
Amazing. And listen, when I first started talking to Chantal and reading her book, and that simple sentence she just said, like the number one way to reduce your stress is to get into your body, that was like revolutionary to me because I'm always up here, always. And this concept of disassociation, which we're going to go into more, is unfortunately, when she started to define it, I realized like, oh, wow, I disassociate a lot. So could you talk to us about disassociation or disembodiment? Like you hear those words now out in the world, but like until you explained it to me, I hadn't really thought about it in that way. So can you dive into that for us a little bit?
Yeah, sure. So dissociation or disembodiment, however you want to call it, is the act of suppressing what is happening in your body. And those feelings in your body, as I mentioned before, can be as simple as, am I hungry? Do I have to pee? Or they can be that gut instinct, that knot in your chest telling you that you want to scream and tell somebody off.
Mm,
Or it can be the tightness in your jaw. It
mm,
can be butterflies in your stomach. It doesn't have to be anything negative, right? It can be a good feeling, right? And again, we have really been taught to not pay too much attention to that, right? And so the problem with that is that, well, there's two problems. Number one, if you are not listening to your body, the only thing you can hear are the thoughts in your head. And that's what you had mentioned before, Joanna, right? So getting back into your body is going to settle those thoughts. You settle
mm,
your body first, the thoughts will settle second.
mm. So powerful. What is the other thing that happens if you're not in your body? So you either go into your thoughts, but you had mentioned also there's something else that can happen too.
The other thing is that we're not able to manage stress. Our resilience goes down. So scientists have a word called interoception, and that is the accurate ability to assess the inner workings of what's going on in your body. I call it your soul speak. Another way of thinking of it is just being fluent in your body's language. And when we don't have that because we've been taught to suppress, or we need to suppress, we need to numb or escape, and we end up just cutting off what's going on in our body, what happens is we lose our resilience,
Mm,
right? We just don't have the bandwidth to handle the kind of stress that maybe we
mhm.
otherwise could handle.
So that's so interesting. So I just want to take this really basic. Okay. So you're a mom
Mhm.
and you have small children and you're busy all day long. There's always either caretaking happening or there's chores inside the home, outside the home. And so often, uh, you, a mom might be hungry and not eat, thirsty and not drink, have to use the restroom and not take time. Um, they are rushing, right? So they probably are feeling anxiety and pressure, but ignoring it. And I would say that's probably an everyday occurrence.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Uh, okay. So I'm that mom that's basically been suppressing, like literally not tending to my needs. And, you had said something to me when we were talking before the interview started is, as I said, well, why do women do that? Like, why? Yes, we've been taught that, but why are we continuously suppressing those needs when they are sometimes base level needs? And you said something really interesting. Do you recall?
Let me see if I can remember what I said. Yeah, we first of all, I'm going to say how ironic it is that we do that, because as mothers, what's the first thing we worry about with our kids? Have they eaten? Have they slept? Are they dehydrated? Do they need more alone time? Do they need outdoor time? Do they need time with friends? Right? We're dealing with all of that and we're managing that. Why? Not because we want them to have a long, healthy life, because right in that moment, we know that they will become dysregulated if they don't get all of that stuff. That's just the basic foundation, right? From there, we can worry about their happiness. But just in the moment, can they soothe themselves? Not if they're hungry, not if they have to go to the bathroom and they're holding it, not all of that stuff, right? So there's such an ironic thing that as moms, that's the first thing that we forget about or
Right.
neglect.
And the reason why we forget, this is what I asked Chantal. I said, why are we forgetting, or why were we taught this? And she says, because if you go tend to your needs, you're rocking the boat
Mhm.
by, and I kind of went, whoa. I think I even used the word like, that's scary. Because boy, have I been there, right? Like just deny, deny, deny in order to serve the needs of others.
You're a good mom if everyone in your household is happy, but don't worry about your own happiness, right? Don't rock the boat. Don't keep the peace. Yeah.
Right. And then, like you said, the irony is that in that over caretaking that we're doing that so that they stay regulated. But at the same time, we're getting ourselves deeper, deeper disassociated with our own bodies, which ultimately make us less ability to have resilience and bandwidth.
Yeah,
So
we're not regulating ourselves. We're not able to stay calm. And here's the thing about being a mom, particularly if your child is under the age of 9, they will pick up on your nervous system because theirs hasn't fully developed yet. So, whatever you're feeling, if you're feeling anxious, they're either going to be anxious or shut down. They're not going to be able to be calm. So, it doesn't matter whether you take care of all of their needs. If you're not taking care of your own needs, it's not going to work, unfortunately.
and that is the myth, right? So obviously, and what I do is supporting sleep deprived mothers because their child is not sleeping through the night. These moms come to me having tried everything on their own, and nothing's worked. And so they are ultra sleep deprived, ultra overwhelmed, literally living on fumes.
Mhm.
Um, and now that I'm understanding this more disassociation, like if I were to start probing and saying, okay, well, how often are you not, not eating when you're hungry, not going to the bathroom when you have to go? Like if I were to probe a little deeper, we would see this increase in disembodiment, which then makes them less resilient to actually know that they have choices, that they can go look for some sleep support, they can get support, right? Because the less bandwidth you have, the less clearly you see, the less clearly you function, and then you start to believe you have less and less options.
Right. And remember all those negative thoughts that we were talking about. If you're not connected with your body, all you can hear is your thoughts. And that's where the I'm a bad mom thoughts come in. And what am I doing wrong? And I should, all of that
Yeah.
awful rumination that doesn't help. It just makes things worse.
Right. And the shame, right? The shame
Mhm.
and the guilt that just absolutely floods your body and is relentless.
Yeah.
Oh
Yeah.
my gosh. Okay. So we don't want any of you, whether we don't want any female ever anywhere in this entire world to have shame, guilt, and rumination. We want to get back in our body. So, Chantal, please tell us, please, please show us the way.
It's
How,
why I wrote the book, because all of us need this.
yes,
And unfortunately, okay, fortunately, things are starting to change, right? Unfortunately, the change has been, let's focus on meditation, let's focus on yoga and breath work. And when you are already overwhelmed, those are big steps to take. And here's the
yes,
thing, they don't work for everybody. They're not the right tools for everybody. So if those are your only choices and that keeps getting thrown at you, you should be doing an hour and a half of yoga a day. You should be meditating 20 minutes a day. You should. All that does is make you feel more stressed and more shamed because something must be wrong with you if those things aren't working.
right.
And here's the good news. Those are
Thank
not
you.
the
We need some
only,
good news.
we
Yes,
need some good news. Those are not the only tools. In my book, I give about 30 different tools, and I would say the majority of them are 30 seconds long. You don't need to put a lot of time into this. And moms don't have that much time, right? Let's be real.
right. And the other thing is, and we're going to go over two tools that we think will be most helpful to anyone listening to this. But I want to say that sometimes you only need one or two tools. Like
Mhm.
if there's 30 in her toolkit, you don't need to go figure out and master all 30 of them. If you find one, then that's your one. So yeah, so why don't you walk us through two tools that maybe we've never heard of before that are really straightforward?
Sure. So I'm going to use a fancy word here, bilateral tactile stimulation, meaning bilateral, both sides of the body, tactile touch, stimulation, just type of touch, right? That has been shown to improve resilience. It has been shown to decrease stress. So what that looks like in less than 30 seconds is if you take your right hand and you place it on your left shoulder and you just sweep your arm down.
Mhm.
Then you're going to take the opposite hand, left hand on your right shoulder, and you're going to sweep it down, right? Right, left,
Mhm.
left, right.
Got it. So
So
cross
these are
body.
cross body. These are called arm sweeps.
Okay.
Super simple. You can do these anywhere. You can do it in line at the grocery store and people just think you're cold. But
Mhm.
try it and see how it feels in your body. See if that's an appropriate tool for you. If it is, you will feel a softening in your body. You might yawn, you might sigh, you might get a tummy gurgle,
Mhm.
right? Rest and digest is your calming nervous system. So any kind of sign of digestion, increased salivation or the tummy gurgle, right? That's going to be a sign that your body is going into a parasympathetic calming mode.
Fabulous. And that is something, by the way, you can do with your children too, right? So if you've got a toddler and you can teach that toddler this tool, again, maybe it will work for them, maybe it won't, but it's worth trying because if they start having a gurgly stomach, they'll have this feeling like, oh, wow, it worked, right? And then that's wonderful. So tell us another tool.
The other tool is I'm sure a lot of your listeners have heard about the vagus nerve. So the vagus nerve is part of your calming nervous system. There's a couple of other cranial nerves that blend in with the vagus nerve, and one of those nerves feeds your neck. So there are neck muscles that you can massage that when you do, you are actually talking to your vagus nerve and asking it to calm down a little bit, to
Mhm.
activate and relax. So if you go put two fingers, both hands, two fingers right behind your ears,
Mhm.
that's the beginning of a muscle called your sternocleidomastoid, otherwise known as your SCM muscle. And you're just going to rake your fingers down towards your collarbone, right where your collarbone and your neck, your throat kind of meet up. Just right in that area, you're just going to rake from back of the ear down to the collarbone. How's that feeling for you, Joanna?
Like it.
Yeah.
Yeah, I like that a lot.
Yeah.
Yeah. Actually, that's interesting. My saliva's my saliva
And
is kicking in, so now we know. Yeah, I like that you gave some examples of how you know if the tool's working. Can you give some other examples of how you know the tool's working?
if you think about how it feels in your body when you're stressed, for a lot of people, not everybody, but for a lot of people, it's constriction, a tightness in the jaw, maybe the shoulders come forward. And so feeling more expansive
Mhm.
and the muscles relaxing tends to be something that people will feel when they know that a tool is working. The yawning is a big one for a lot of people, and the sighing is what happens for me.
Mhm.
I get a sigh when I know that a tool is really helping me. Um, Anything that feels like a softening and an expansion.
Well, so for me, just that one, right? Because remember, she has 30 tools in her book. So all you have to do is find one tool. So this one, I think I got two indicators. Number one, I did start getting more saliva, but then when I stopped, I did get a big sigh. So,
Nice.
so I would say like maybe your sigh happens when you're doing it, maybe your sigh happens
Mhm.
after, like, experiment to see what your signals are. Because it sure is nice to know. I mean, that's so easy to do, and you could do it before in the moment, right? You could do it before you think you're going to be going into an important moment where, if you're a working professional, you've got a big assignment or presentation, do it before, or you're right in the middle of a situation with your child and you need to regulate yourself so that you can help them be regulated. And I do want to touch on that again about this like concept of co-regulation. Um, between parent and child, co-regulation is happening all day long.
All day long.
And the more you understand that it's happening all day long, and the more you can start to see how your state of being is mirrored, right? Uh,
Really.
and is so important. And especially when you're doing something like trying to create that optimal learning container, when you're trying to help your child learn sleep skills, being in a state where you feel calm and confident, and you feel good about the process is really critical, because if not, if you don't have those three elements, when you're there trying to help your child learn new skills, if your amygdala is jacked up, they're going to feel it.
And it's
Uh,
so natural to get frustrated and angry as a parent when things are not going the way that you want. You're doing everything for your child to try to get them to feel comfortable, and it's not working. So it's very natural to get stressed.
mhm.
And I think keeping that in mind and taking a step backwards and just allowing yourself to try a really quick, easy tool to bring you back into your body, back to the present moment. And then you have that clarity of, oh, I'm supposed to be stressed, but I can calm myself down a little bit, and then I can help my child.
Exactly. So obviously everyone can buy the book, but here's what's even better. Chantal has something coming up starting March 5th, where you can start taking a deep dive with her, side by side, hand in hand. So can you talk a little bit about what's upcoming for you to help people really utilize this work? And yes, please.
Thank you. Yeah. So I am doing 6 sessions. They're an hour and a half each. With me, it's going to be a workshop slash book club. And we're going to dive deep into my book, Settled, and breaking it down into 6 sessions. I'm going to be talking a little bit. I'm going to be teaching some tools. Some of them are in the book, some of them will be new tools, and talking a little bit about why I wrote about certain concepts, what are the big takeaways. And then I am going to open it up to the community that has joined the workshop for questions and answers and insights. And I think it's a really great opportunity to not only read the book, get support while you're reading the book, but also to be with like-minded people who are really interested in finding ways, new novel ways that they didn't know about before to manage their stress. So there's going to be people there who get what you're going through because they're going through the exact same thing.
Right, exactly. And when you are lucky enough to be in a small, in a group environment like that, you're always learning from each other within the community, as well as learning from the,
Yeah.
the expert, which is Chantal. So absolutely, I love that. So that's starting on March 5th, is going to be on Tuesday nights. It's going to be from 4 to 5:30 p.m. Pacific time. And in this, we're going to have all in the show notes, we're going to have all the links, but if you could just, if they're listening to this and they aren't looking at show notes, can you tell them where they can actually physically sign up for this March 5th?
Sure. My website is bodyinsight.com. And if you go there and just click on the workshop link, it'll be right at the top and you can register there. I'm doing it for super cheap this time around, just because it's my first book club and I'm super excited to share it with people. So it's $144 for 6 sessions.
Amazing. Amazing. So super, like that will pay itself in dividends. So wonderful. So it's kind of like a public service opportunity to get this work out into the world. All right. So that is as part of WO3, it's all about partnering, promoting, and supporting female-owned businesses. So we just heard from Chantal and we gave a shout out to this amazing class and workshop that she's going to be doing. And then the other thing I like to do is to have my guest shout out 2 other female-owned businesses that are doing important work in the world that maybe you've never heard of. So who would you also like to spotlight?
I have two friends who have supported me and talked about my book in their newsletter and interviewed me and done some amazing things. And I want to give back to them. I'm so grateful. And they do amazing work. One of them is Deanna Moffat, and you can go to deannamoffat.com. She is a life coach, and she just wrote a book called The Rewrite. So in my book, I talk a lot about body up processes, and Deanna talks about, okay, after we do those, how do we deal with the mental stuff? How do we rewrite our narrative so that we can stop getting stuck into the same old stories? It's a great book. And she and I were both writing our books at the same time, which was fun. We wrote a lot together on Zoom. And she is one of those people who will ask you just the right question to get you to think about where you're stuck and why.
Right. And rewriting stories is such important work because we can get stuck in a story and go round on round for decades on the same story. So I am sure that Deanna's work is super inspiring. And so who else would you like to give a shout out to?
So the other person is Julie Winkle Giuliani, and she is a local friend. She has written two books, and they're all about work in the workplace. They are corporate books. One of her books is called Promotions Are So Yesterday. And the other one is called Let Them Grow or See Them Go. And she does wonderful work. I've done a couple of Instagram lives with her, and she's really all about making the workplace a more hospitable place, and making it more kind and more humane.
Love that. We need that everywhere, but at the minimum, please, can we have that in our workplaces? All
Exactly.
right. All right. So if you would love to learn more about Chantal again, her book is called Settled: How to Find Calm in a Stress-Inducing World. Her website is bodyinsight.com. And I am also in the show notes going to post some fabulous podcasts that she's done a lot of podcasts as it relates to the release of her book, but we've picked two that are going to be really relevant, we think, based on our conversation today with mothers. So I definitely recommend looking into that. And the other thing is that Chantal does a lot of really great stuff on her Instagram page where she's demonstrating the tools. So if you just need like a quick fix and you want to get in there, you can go to it's Body Insight
Inc.
uh,
Body
Inc.
Insight Inc. on Instagram. Yeah.
Body Insight Inc. on Instagram. So thank you, Chantal, for all the incredible work you're doing to support women and to help us build our resilience and reduce our stress.
Thank you, Joanna, for having me. I'm so grateful.